We've danced around this forever.
Have you ever noticed that the most unsettling trailers are often the ones that show you the least? That's exactly what makes the new Special Ops, Lioness Season 3 Episode 2 preview so effective. At first glance, it looks like another fast-paced collection of tense conversations, tactical movement, and dramatic close-ups. But when you slow it down and pay attention to the way it's edited, a different picture starts to emerge. Instead of trying to explain what's about to happen, the trailer is carefully building a sense of uncertainty. Every cut feels intentional. Every line of dialogue seems to carry more weight than it first appears, and every reaction shot leaves you wondering what happened just before or just after the camera cuts away. If there's one thing this series has proven over the past few seasons, it's that the biggest twists rarely come from what the marketing shows you. They come from what the marketing deliberately chooses to hide. And that makes Episode 2 one of the most intriguing chapters of the season so far. Before we dive into the details, it's important to separate what's actually confirmed from what we're simply interpreting. Throughout this breakdown, anything I describe as confirmed comes directly from the trailer or officially released promotional material. Whenever we move into predictions or possibilities, I'll make that clear, because one of the best parts of following a series like Lioness is letting the story surprise us instead of treating theories as facts. The very first thing that jumps out about this trailer isn't a particular character or even a specific location. It's the atmosphere. From the opening seconds, the pace feels noticeably different. The music builds steadily instead of exploding all at once. The editing becomes increasingly rapid, and almost every shot is filled with a sense of urgency. Rather than spending time introducing the audience to the setting, the trailer assumes viewers already understand the world and immediately places them in the middle of escalating tension. That's a storytelling choice the series has used before, but this time it feels even more deliberate. The trailer doesn't ask whether something is wrong. It assumes something has already gone wrong and challenges the audience to figure out exactly what that is. One of the strongest aspects of the preview is how it constantly shifts between different environments. We move from command centers to operational settings, from conversations between senior officials to moments that appear far more personal. None of these transitions feel random. Instead, they create the impression that several storylines are unfolding simultaneously. That's important because Lioness has never been a show built around a single mission. The series has always explored how one operation sends ripples through multiple lives, affecting not just the people carrying out the mission, but also those responsible for planning it and the families waiting back home. Even without revealing specific plot points, the trailer reinforces that idea by refusing to stay in one place for very long. Every cut reminds us that the consequences of whatever is happening are likely reaching far beyond a single battlefield. Another interesting detail is the trailer's reliance on reaction shots rather than spectacle. There are moments of tactical movement and visible urgency, but many of the most memorable images focus on faces instead of action. We see characters listening, processing information, exchanging worried glances, and making difficult decisions. That might not seem significant at first, but it's a hallmark of the series. Lioness has consistently treated emotional responses as just as important as physical conflict. Sometimes the most dramatic scene isn't an explosion or a firefight. It's the moment someone realizes the situation has become impossible to control. Based on the trailer alone, Episode 2 appears to continue that tradition. Another clue comes from the rhythm of the dialogue. The trailer offers brief lines without much context, allowing viewers to hear urgency without understanding the complete conversation. That's a clever editing strategy because it keeps the audience asking questions instead of providing answers. Rather than revealing the sequence of events, the trailer presents fragments that could belong to entirely different scenes. That means it's dangerous to assume any particular line directly explains another shot. Promotional editing often rearranges dialogue to maximize suspense, and Lioness has used that technique before. So while the trailer clearly establishes rising tension, it intentionally avoids revealing exactly what triggers it. One thing that does seem clear is that leadership is under extraordinary pressure. Several moments emphasize conversations involving senior decision-makers, suggesting that Episode 2 won't focus solely on action in the field. That's entirely consistent with the series' broader themes. One reason Lioness has earned such a loyal audience is its willingness to explore both the operational and strategic sides of intelligence work. Missions don't exist in isolation. Every decision made in a secure briefing room eventually affects someone risking their life on the ground. Likewise, every setback in the field creates new challenges for the people trying to manage the operation from above. The trailer appears to reinforce that interconnected structure, reminding viewers that no decision comes without consequences. At the same time, the preview hints that the emotional cost of those decisions may become increasingly important. One recurring element throughout the trailer is the contrast between professional composure and visible concern. Characters who normally project confidence appear noticeably more guarded. Conversations feel shorter, expressions linger longer, and even moments of silence seem loaded with meaning. Those aren't confirmations of any particular storyline, but they are observations supported by the footage itself. The trailer repeatedly encourages viewers to focus less on what people are doing and more on how they're reacting. Now let's move into analysis rather than confirmation. One possible interpretation is that the trailer is intentionally emphasizing uncertainty over action because episode May 2nd function as the season's first major turning point. Many serialized dramas use their second episode to expand the consequences introduced in the premiere. Instead of introducing a completely new conflict, they show how the original conflict begins affecting multiple people and institutions. The structure of this trailer fits that pattern remarkably well. However, it's important to remember that this remains an interpretation based on editing choices, not a confirmed plot detail. Another possibility worth considering is the way the trailer balances tactical imagery with quieter moments. Rather than showing continuous action, it alternates between movement and reflection. That could suggest the episode is interested in examining the human impact of high-pressure decisions rather than simply delivering non-stop suspense. Again, that's a theory based on tone rather than confirmed story information, but it aligns with the storytelling style the series has established over previous seasons. One aspect that deserves particular attention is pacing. Modern television trailers often reveal far more than they need to, but this preview takes the opposite approach. It repeatedly interrupts scenes before viewers receive complete context. A conversation begins, then immediately cuts away. A character reacts, but we never see what prompted that reaction. Someone appears to arrive somewhere important, but the trailer refuses to show what happens next. This fragmented structure creates curiosity because our brains naturally try to connect incomplete information. Instead of satisfying that curiosity, the trailer continually postpones the answer, encouraging viewers to speculate while preserving the episode's biggest surprises. From a filmmaking perspective, that's a very effective strategy. Suspense isn't created by revealing everything. It's created by revealing just enough to convince the audience that something significant is happening while withholding the details that would remove uncertainty. Episode 2's marketing appears built around that exact principle. The goal isn't to explain the story. The goal is to create questions that viewers will only be able to answer by watching the episode. Perhaps the most interesting takeaway from the trailer is how carefully it protects the season's larger direction. It establishes urgency without fully defining the crisis. It highlights emotional reactions without identifying every cause. It introduces tension without revealing exactly where that tension leads. That's a difficult balance to achieve, and whether intentional or not, it leaves fans with plenty to discuss before the episode airs. So, after watching the trailer several times, here's what we can confidently say. The pace is accelerating. The pressure on the characters appears to be increasing. Leadership decisions seem likely to play a major role. Emotional consequences remain central to the series, and the episode appears designed to expand the scope of the season, rather than simply repeat what came before. Beyond that, we're entering the territory of interpretation and prediction, and that's exactly where our breakdown continues. In the next section, we'll take a closer look at the individual characters featured in the trailer, examine the visual details that might be easy to miss on a first viewing, and explore how the series' recurring themes could shape the story going forward, while keeping a clear line between what's confirmed and what's still just a theory.